So you might notice that I have an 11 by 17 12 grid set up on my InDesign page. That's because we're going to be talking about designing with a grid and using hierarchy in our grid. So you can download right from the week 4 assignment the grid in InDesign right here, and this will help you to really organize your design. Color is allowed. You can also you need to have it set up as CMYK, and I also want to show you how to get in and grab some other color swatches as well. So let's open up our swatch library. And InDesign recently changed the way that you can access the swatch libraries. I'm not a big fan, but here we are. If you click on the swatches and the 4 lines to the side and click on new color swatch, under color mode, that's where you would access the other swatch libraries. So if you go to Pantone coded or uncoded plus CMYK, you know that it's going to be a CMYK version of a Pantone color, and there are a lot of swatches that you can add the different colors, just so that way you have some options. If you hold down Shift, you can select multiple colors at a time, which I would suggest because otherwise it only allows you to load one color at a time. Then click Add. And it'll take a minute. And it's actually going to add them to both your swatches and to your CC library if you have that selected. So now we have way more swatches that we can choose from right in our swatch panel. It gives us a few more options. So let's look at some of these rules. So again, you can download the rules, the doc file for the rules, right through the assignment. And when picking a rule, you need to understand the rule before the rule can be broken. So if there's a rule for optimum legibility, what if you wanted to break that rule by using a font that didn't have optimum legibility? It would make sense if you could still read the poster. The same thing can be said for Rule 6. Avoid using too many different type sizes and weights at the same time. Some experts recommend using no more than 2 sizes, one for display and one for text type. So what if we set this up where it said avoid using too many different type sizes and weights at the same time by specifically using too many different type sizes and weights at the same time? These are the ways that you can break the rules if you understand the rules. So when you are designing on a grid, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is keeping yourself within some quadrants. So let's break up where we could possibly do some of the quadrants. Let's look at it this way. What if our headline went like this? Up top. And then what if our avoid using too many went here? Then are some experts recommend. What if that, went in here? And again, pay attention to your margin as well. So our margin is set up right here, these pink lines. So our text should not go outside of our margin. But that doesn't mean that some of our color can't go outside of our margin. Another way that you can look at it is what if, this section was in here, and then this section was in here. There are many different ways when you have a grid set up that you can look at putting your information on the screen. So think about your information in a couple of different sections. We also want to put in what number the rule is. So maybe that would be a nice, we'll make a blue area, and that's our rule. So we've got our headline, we have our first sentence, we have our second sentence that our body copy, and we have our rule. So these are some of the things that we can look at and move the different pieces around before we even start to put the text on the screen. And it gives you an idea visually of how you can set this up and what the different hierarchy might be. So play around with the grid before you start designing and see what you think is going to look best.